I just want to let you know to subscribe to Evil Popo. Yes, that's right. Subscribe to Evil Popo. I would really like it.
I will not do the intro. I will do the intro.
Podcast TWOW.
Hello. I literally tried.
Mint, we decided before this episode we were not going to say a few different words, and that was one of them. And you lasted, what, 10 seconds?
I lasted 10 seconds. I'm so bad. Greetings, not the other word. Welcome to episode 4B of Podcast TWOW. We're here. It's late. It's the late episode. It's past my bedtime.
This episode has gone through development heck, and at the time of watching, it's finally here, performing for you, and this time we're in the mood.
Gaming.
Am I going to get copyright claimed for that?
Yeah, I mean, they take 2 seconds of material and just copy strike you on it, so... Here we go. It's time for YouTube hell. Speaking of hell, there are some fandoms that we've gotten into recently, and we are not going to talk about them on this episode. Isn't that right?
Yes, those are also on the forbidden words list. No, don't say it. The podcast host is not doing a great job.
Hey, that's a reference. Yeah, we're going to be talking about those on 5A when we don't have other guests that have to talk over us. Speaking of hell, we hosted a speed trial like 3 weeks ago. Oh, also, shoot, right, we have a guest in 5A. Scratch the whole, the guest will talk over us anyways.
Speaking of hell, I apologize to our guest next time.
Anyways, we wanted to reiterate how much fun we had torturing you. Yeah, that was an interesting speed trial idea that I totally came up with. Val did all the work, and, it was fun.
Mint, on behalf of Mint, I'd like to apologize to everyone at Podcast TWOW for Mint coming up with that speed TWOW and executing it. I personally remember when I went into Mint's office and I said, Mint, maybe we shouldn't do this trial. Maybe it's going to hurt people. And Mint was like, ha, this is my podcast, you fool. Don't come into my office and tell me what I can and can't do. And then they pressed the button on their desk that made a trapdoor open up under my feet. And I fell into a pool of sharks.
No, you fell into the aesthetic prison where you were forced to make all the aesthetics.
And that's how I made the lovely, patently stupid spreadsheet. That was entirely me. I learned spreadsheets. I learned all the numbers real good. I know all the equations now. If you need to calculate something, I got the equation for it.
Hey Val, what's 94 times 587?
That's 20.
Oh, you're right. Anyways, that's enough rambling. I think, without further ado, it's time to get our one and only guest on the show.
And our guest today is Marblemint.
Oh yeah, I'm glad to be here. It's been so long, and I've really wanted to be on Podcast TWOW, and this is just like a golden opportunity for me.
Now, Mint, I am so excited that I finally managed to book you that I hired a guest interviewer to help me interview you. So I'd like to say a warm welcome to our guest interviewer, QuantumWillow, who's going to help us interview Mint, our guest for the day.
Wow, I'm the guest for the day, and hello, other guest interviewer, QuantumWillow.
Where am I? What am I doing here?
What was that? Do I hear a metal banging sound, or is that my imagination?
Yeah, you hear a metal banging sound. It is the door.
What's happening at the door?
The people on the Val, you should know about this. The people on yeah.
Oh right, that thing you were complaining about some people or something. I decided to just hang out in the corner and record a podcast. Are you still on that?
You're recording a podcast? Our door is about to be broken into by our own mind-controlled fucking teammates. Am I allowed to... I don't care. I'm swearing. It is a podcast. I'm swearing. It is your podcast. I don't care about your
No,
podcast.
this
You're
video is
about to
not made for
die.
kids.
Well, come on, just hang out in the corner for a bit. We can't take them on if we're not chill. So just hang out. Let's record for a little bit. Let's interview our guests, and then we can deal with the door or whatever.
Maybe they'll listen to our nice, amazing podcast, and they'll just be like, these people are a lot more chill than I thought they were. Let's just not break in.
Okay, whatever. Who is this? Who's the person you were talking to? Did you download Discord onto the ship?
Listen, we had space for it. It's free and it's fun.
I heard Genji's team brought in other people to help respond to her prompt, and they were going to help break down the door faster, and you had the same system, and you started a podcast.
Like I said, it's about morale. I really just wanted to make sure that we were chill and ready to fight back. And to my wonderful podcast listeners, you may be confused as to what's going on because you're not on a spaceship, to which I say, don't worry. I actually had a friend of mine record a documentary about what was going on. See, Captain, I've got this all figured out. So check out this. The documentary is going to be linked in the description below. So check that out if you're confused after the episode and results.
Anyways, hi, Willow. Other than people breaking into your ship, how are you doing today?
I guess besides that fact, I'm doing pretty well,
Glad to hear that.
It's about the only thing that's happened today, though, so I can't say that there's been much to judge that, but, how's your day been, mysterious interloper?
I'm chilling.
Great.
Just kidding. I was very stressed. I had English assignment that I had to write a whole essay this morning because I procrastinated to hell and back. That was fun.
Damn. I had to write 10 words today. That was hard.
Impressive.
I have not done any writing since I went on break forever. I'm on winter break and I'm never going back, except when I have to go back.
Anyways, if you could introduce yourself really quick, name, pronouns, life aspirations, whatever.
Hi, I'm Willow. My pronouns are she, her. I'm space assistant for an entire ship, and my life aspirations right now are to keep my life so that I can pursue my other life aspirations, such as,
crochet.
Yeah, I like crochet. I've never done it. It's a cool concept.
We're back to this. Cool. We're glad to have you here in the interview. I know I was the one that was supposed to be interviewed, but I'm just tabling the turns. I'm punching with the rolls.
Speaking of rolls, speaking of bakeries, speaking of confectionaries, speaking of sugar, speaking of candy, Willow, we had our Halloween episode recently. That's how long our hiatus has been. So
it's December 4th, and we're on to our second holiday that involves candy.
So, speaking of candy, I'd like to ask you a question that isn't the question we previously asked you about candy, but a different question. We've heard a little about bad candy. I want to talk to you about good candy. What's your favorite candy?
My favorite candy, do sweet things in general count, or are we going under the definition of stuff you would find in Halloween bags?
I want to hear both.
Yeah.
That wasn't a yes or no question.
Both. What's your favorite, that specifically comes in Halloween bags, and what's, the one that you were thinking of?
Well, I was just trying to narrow down my options in order to think of them. I like Mars. I like Mars bars. You ever had Mars bars? They're nice.
A couple times. They don't really have a lot of those in the U.S. anymore, which is weird.
Damn.
I don't think I've ever had a Mars bar. Is it what are they?
Well, you got I think it's called nougat, and then you have that, and then caramel, and you surround it in chocolate. It's pretty good. It's very
It's basically just a Milky Way.
Snickers.
It's a bit like a Snickers, but not bad.
Snickers doesn't have, or Snickers has peanuts in it.
Yeah, it's true.
It's a bit like a Milky Way.
It is basically like a Milky Way.
It makes sense. The names are very similar. Mars, Milky Way, both space. I'm in space right now.
It's TWOW.
I love that we have a whole candy cinematic universe going on. You can establish an entire candy world.
Candy cinematic universe going on.
What plot will transpire in universe?
a lot of things.
Do you think it'll involve Lollipop BFDI?
Probably not.
Do you think it'll involve the Kansas City breath mints?
We're getting into dangerous territory here. That you're getting very close to another forbidden word. You mentioned poison earlier, but you're not allowed to say, "Hey, we had an agreement."
Fine. Anyways, the nougat and caramel section of the candy industry is like very good. Anyways, Val forgot a question. We're gonna step back. What is your history in the TWOW community? How did you find out about it? And what is your journey? What is your narrative?
Okay, am I doing this in character or not?
You can out of character.
Okay, so I discovered it by I guess I discovered it by seeing various AI videos on YouTube, and so I discovered this YouTuber called Carrie KH who did AI videos. I looked in his videos and I found that he had a bunch of other videos called TWOW, so I watched TWOW, and then I was like, oh, that's cool, and so I joined. I guess, yeah, I saw the spreadsheet of TWOWs, which was defunct by several years by the time I saw, and several more years now, but I joined a TWOW that still had an active Discord server there, and it was a bad TWOW, and it was by someone who later turned out to be like an incredibly racist person, but that was my introduction into the TWOW community. Yeah.
Delightful.
The first TWOW I would say I legitimately enjoyed and properly spent a lot of time was Azurica Season 3, which was also the first story TWOW I joined, which is why I love story TWOW so much. And the first TWOW I personally made was Best TWOW, which was the best TWOW. So yeah.
It really was the best TWOW. And yeah, I mean, that's a pretty hefty journey in and of itself. And now you're on a spaceship.
Yeah, now I've started Space TWOW and I play a character and I go on other podcasts pretending to be someone who's dying.
Wait, you go on other podcasts? Are you cheating on us?
Podcast TWOW 2?
That's right, baby. We're confirming Podcast TWOW Season 2. This is a real announcement. It's going to be a Mint solo endeavor, and they're going to do a great job.
I'm so proud of you, Mint. I bet you can do it.
Man, I'm really glad you decided to announce this today. I'm so excited to play in it and see what you do.
I'm so excited for you to interrupt me 30 seconds into episode 1 again. Maybe Willow can do it too. What if let's have open source podcast TWOW where I do all the technical stuff, but anyone is allowed to join me on the podcast whenever they want.
I mean, that's also true of this one as long as people super vote.
Oh, good point. You know what people should do? They should super vote.
Well, they can't right now.
Travel back in time. Do it. I dare you.
Does the cloning machine do time? Like, can you delay like a few years? So you can time travel into the future?
Just clone a clock. Come on.
Hello?
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 Oh no, we all said it!
Oh, Willow! Willow, you got us to say the forbidden word. I cannot... Wait. Oh, she must have disconnected? This was her dying wish was for us to resort to chaos.
What's the phrase I'm looking for? It's a synonym for devious. It's like when you have an evil plan and you go through with it.
Treacherous.
Treacherous is a good word, but it's not what I'm talking about.
Dastardly.
Dastardly, I think that's it.
Okay, well, Willow's gone. That was like... Those were her last words. She wanted us to say the H word.
She truly swooped in, earned our trust, destroyed the episode, and left. I can't believe she did this to us.
Just she's back.
She's really gone. I can still hear her voice sometimes.
I'm here.
I imagine her saying, "Hey, I'm here," as if she was still here.
Hell yeah.
I bet if she were here right now, she'd say, "Hell yeah."
She just did. You said that line like 2 seconds late.
So,
You know, being sad about death is just like being sad about restaurants.
That was the most forced segue I've ever heard. Continue.
It is my job on this podcast to just make the worst possible segues. And speaking of the worst possible things, Willow, What's the worst possible restaurant experience you've had?
So this one time I went to it was a poutine place in Montreal, Quebec. I don't know if you know about Montreal, but it's a place in Quebec.
Montreal's pretty cool. They used to have the Expos, and they are epic.
I don't think they ever had Xboxes, but so I went to this one poutine place, and it was like, I mean, I was incredibly sick that day, and you know, I mean, I was, I mean, I'm not incredibly sick anymore, but I was incredibly sick that day, and so I went there and I got some poutine, and I was eating it, and I finished the poutine, and along the way, my mom got into several arguments with various members of our family because she does that, and then. Because I was incredibly sick, I kept complaining like, "Oh, my stomach feels bad. I feel really terrible." And my dad was like, "Listen, it's gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay." And then I threw up all over the place.
In the car? Or like...
No, in the poutine place.
Oh!
Oh.
Was this like a big family gathering?
No, it was 4 people, but...
Oh,
And then my
your
mom
mom
got
was
angry.
just calling people constantly.
No. She was getting into argument with like the other 3 people.
Oh,
Wow.
great.
Does your mom listen to the podcast?
No.
I mean, Willow herself does not listen to the podcast.
Yeah, I
Hey,
don't,
I
listen
don't
to
know.
the podcast.
Our audience engagement is way up lately, I assume. It doesn't let me see the spreadsheets.
Spreadsheets? I mean, yeah, I can show you the channel analytics.
You guys have a channel?
20% of people who watch our videos are subscribed. So make sure you scroll down and check to see if you're subscribed, because YouTube unsubscribes you sometimes. It's a bug or something. It's really weird. So just make sure that you're subscribed. You'll be able to see all the latest episodes, and don't forget to ring that bell.
I want to see a flood of subscribers as soon as this part of the premiere hits. Let's get to 200. I know we're at like 106, but I bet we can do it. Sub for sub.
I think I
should
subscribed.
also-
I still haven't listened to a single episode.
Pain.
You should also sub to my YouTube channel. I'm tired of having 22 subscribers.
Yeah, and Val has like a very good animation of, or it's an animatic more so. It is podcast TWOW, and it is very good, and you should go see it. That was also something made in the interim between like 3C and 4A.
And speaking of animation YouTubers, I do want to take a second to talk to Willow about. So, as we've alluded to a few times during the episode, you recently released a very grand prompt episode for Space TWOW.
Heck yeah.
Prompt 9 was a massive video with wasn't like months of effort went into it?
Around almost exactly 2 months of effort and easily over 100 hours, probably 150.
Dang.
And I didn't warn Min about this question, but I'm just curious. I'm wondering, like, would you be willing to walk us through a little bit of that, like sort of like how you decided you wanted to make an animated movie for your prompt, and how you went about making it?
Well, the decision came from, I mean, I guess Best TWOW, you know, the last round of Best TWOW, even though the prompt was green, like just the word green, I had this whole elaborate anime fight scene between the final 3 contestants, like using their responses as swords and battling it out. And
Like, really quickly, I did not get to participate in the cultural event known as Best TWOW, but like, please go check out the server. It's still like archived and stuff.
yeah,
And it's very cool.
season 2 just finished because everyone except one living person left the server, so they won by default.
We love to see it.
But for Space Tower, I was like, okay, I want to do that again, but better. And since it's a story TWOW, you know, it only makes sense that, like, you know, it's a natural conclusion that a story TWOW would have, you know, some big animation to have a story for it. And that was where my idea came from.
Yeah, I mean, it's really an impressive amount of effort. Like, I wish I had that level of dedication to do like how long is the animation? Like,
I believe slightly less than 3 minutes.
that's still so cool. Oh my gosh. I aspire to have your level of not procrastination.
Well, honestly, like, I mean, usually I'm a pretty massive procrastinator, but you know, it's just another one of those things, like, you know, you get into the rhythm of it, and And a big part of it was just sort of like, okay, I know I'm gonna fucking fail on everything else I ever do, but I want this one thing to succeed, and it did, and it's like, hell yeah.
That's kind of a mood. Yeah, I mean, I've gotten into the rhythm of procrastinating on TWOWs.
Hell yeah.
I was in a Team TWOW team called the Procrastination Station for a reason, okay? Like, that is my vibe. I always respond in the last 5 minutes. I usually don't look at the prompt until like an hour before the deadline. That's me. And here
Oh,
I
yeah,
am, somehow like top 25.
Recently you nearly DNP'd in Lab 12.
Yeah, that was today. No, you like panicked and pinged me like 40 minutes after I responded. Just so you know, like
I mean, there was no indication that you had.
I am an enigma.
Well, if I can sneak on back to the topic of the space file prompt for a second. So
Hey, I'm supposed to be the one shoehorning in my own content.
I mean, I do want to sort of walk this back a bit to the original like purpose of these interviews, which is to showcase cool community projects. And I do want to ask. So another thing about Space 12 Prompt 9 is that it has two different prompts based on how many deaths you have in the TWOW. Which,
Right.
for anyone who's not familiar with Space TWOW, and you really ought to be, whenever you place below a certain threshold, you take a death, and the more deaths you get, the more control the host of the TWOW has over your response. And prompt 9, this reaches its logical conclusion when the captain of the ship controls like half of the contestants who have
Exactly
more
half.
than a certain amount of deaths. And I was curious to ask, at what point in development did you decide that you wanted to have these two conflicting prompts? Like, was this a plan from the beginning, or was this something that sort of developed naturally over the course of the 12?
I believe hold on, let me find it. Yeah, quite literally the second thing I ever planned for the 12 was these prompts, and the exact wording was used, and the exact like look of the safe room versus not safe room, and the positions of the characters were there. Because it
You
turned
really
out
had this planned out for a while.
well, I mean, most of the stuff in the 12 I didn't. Quite a lot of this stuff was just like, okay, let's throw this in for fun, but it just so happened that one of my first ideas was an idea that, like, I wanted to keep it. And it's sort of like a callback to yourself, just it doesn't really mean anything to anyone who wasn't working on the project from the beginning, and I'm the only person who's ever worked on the project, but it's nice to be able to sort of say, like, hey, I remember that because I was the one who made it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I do want to ask one more thing about Space Tower real quick, which is that, so since you did have like an interesting mix of sort of plans and improv going into this, I'm curious to know, and you don't need to spoil too much if you plan to save some things for later. I am curious if there's anything that you were maybe planning or hoping to put into Space Tower that you couldn't, that like what could have been.
Missed. I guess, especially for prompt 9, there were a few, like, little funny 5-second scenes that it was just like, I don't want to have to do this, so I didn't do them. In the 12 overall, not really. Like, I don't want to say it was like a perfect streamlined thing, but honestly, a lot of the rounds ended up just being sort of filler, a filler until prompt 9, and so honestly, I'd say, like, if there's one thing I would change about it, it's just cut some of the stuff out. Like, I don't need to have extra. Although at the same time, like, I can't think of any individual round I'd want to cut out. So yeah, I guess, like, it's not perfect, but there was nothing that I had planned that didn't make it in, I guess.
All right, and so one thing that I want to just open to discussion real quick before we wind down the interview is that this TWOW is, I don't know a way to put it that is that it doesn't sound meaner than I mean it to be, but the idea of having your words replaced definitely isn't like fair in the ultimate super vanilla Glico sense. And I'm curious to get both y'all's opinions as active members of the TWOW community of what do you think of this idea of TWOWs that aren't necessarily completely mechanically balanced, and do you think the future of TWOWs is going to hold a lot more of these like the TWOWs that play with the format in interesting ways that aren't mechanically sound but are artistically interesting.
Well, I mean, I guess first, like before I say anything, I should probably preface this by saying, like, I hate vanilla TWOWs. Like, I mean, I have participated in maybe like 3 or 4 ever, and I just can't understand why anyone would want to.
I mean,
Be
2 of them are mine.
And I mean, obviously, you know, like this is a matter of opinion. You know, if you like them, you like them. But the original TWOW formula is not very interesting when you take it out of a YouTube context, and most of them are taken out of a YouTube context.
For sure. And I mean, like, actually, I don't know. It's a little. I wouldn't. It's interesting whether to call like paper and podcast TWOW vanilla or not, because like while they're like very normal in their mechanics, like the medium of expression is just like kind of flipped. And yeah, I mean that's what I find fun about hosting both of those. And yeah, I think like, I mean, people have been brainstorming twists for TWOWs since like the TWOW community Discord became a thing. And like, I feel like those twists have been getting crazier over time, and you have some hosts that are like willing to say, hey, here's this completely BS twist. I think it would be really funny. I'm going to run it. And all the props to them. Like, I have yet to really participate in any of those. Or actually, if you count TWOW Murder Party as one, I participated in that, and that was really fun. Although I didn't really vibe with the prompts. But yeah, like, no, all the power to y'all who want to like create those. And yeah, I think there's going to be more of that in the future.
Yeah.
Something that really excites me is imagining that I wonder like if the TWOW community is still going in like 5-10 years, I wonder if what TWOWs we have will be at all recognizable. Like if we were to like transfer 10 years in the future and look at a TWOW at the time then. It's exciting to think just how fast innovation is happening in the community and how many interesting projects like Space TWOW and Paper TWOW are happening. And to all the listeners of Podcast TWOW, please keep on innovating. I love seeing new TWOWs and just interesting spins on formulas.
10 years of wisdom, a TWOW retrospective.
Oh god, that's gonna happen sometime.
What is that going to contain? Only you can decide, dear listener. Good night.
I mean, honestly, I'll be surprised if the TWOW community is still like a thing in 10 years. Like, this is a community of maybe like 2,000 people at most. Like, that's a niche, you know. That is a corner of the internet that if I've ever seen one.
You know what's not niche? This cool fandom called it.
No. We're so close. 5A. Be there. We're gonna reveal what we're talking about to anyone who isn't already like completely aware of it.
But for now, we need to move on to our live results. Thank you so much, Willow, for coming in for the interview. We really appreciated having you. This was chill.
No problem.
Do you want to do our little transition bit? I know you haven't listened to any of the episodes, but
I don't know. I mean,
results are up next. Just say something like that.
Yeah, just like you two are hanging out in the corner. I think I see Genji like looking through the cracks in the door. I'm gonna go record some other people's responses, so you all have fun, and I will head out of here. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Good luck, and good luck to you all. We have
fun with
results.
your results, and then go check out Space TWOW's results. Bye.
All right. Yes. Good luck to Willow. Good luck to you all. Results are coming up right now. Goodbye.
See you in Results VC.